Hello and welcome to Dialogue. The flame for the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games was lit at the birthplace of ancient Olympia, Greece in October 2021. It has once again traveled from Olympia to Beijing, which will now become the first city in the world to host both the Summer and Winter Olympic Games. As Greek and Chinese civilizations meet again in less than 14 years between the Summer and Winter Games, how can the two countries take a step further in cementing their relationship through sports and other cultural activities? And how will the global sports event help unite the world that continues to grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic? To discuss these issues and more, I'm honored to be joined by CAPRALOS, President of the Hellenic Olympic Committee. That's our topic. I'm Xu Qinduo. Thank you, Mr. CAPRALOS. Thank you for joining us. First of all, what's your expectation for the upcoming Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics? Like, how will it be different probably from previous games?
Well, I think in Beijing, you're creating history because it's the first time that the city will have the honor to organize both Summer and Winter Games. I think this is something that it happens for the first time. It's a world record. And not only that, but I'm sure that in China, you know how to organize great sport events. And therefore, as we saw back in 2008, and therefore, I'm sure that because you have the experience also of organizing major sport events in other sports, I'm sure that the games that will happen very shortly now in Beijing will be a huge success.
Well, definitely it is worth looking forward to. Well, the city of Beijing has promised, said that it is committed to hosting a green, inclusive, open and clean Olympic Winter Games. What do you think of the mission mentioned? Why emphasize these four areas?
In today's world, the protection of the environment is one of the most important challenges that we all have, and that we need to do our best in order to protect the environment. The Olympic movement has done a lot of work on that in order to make sure that everybody follows the various rules that it's something that we have put in our Agenda 2020. That was something that President Bach, the president of the IOC, put in place. And there are specific steps and specific issues that we need to do in order to make sure that we protect our environment and to make our games carbon positive in the future. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I think that being green, inclusive, open and clean for the Olympic Games from Beijing is going to be something that will be a tremendous legacy also for the future Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm. Well, Beijing has promised to achieve zero emission of carbon dioxide by achieving this carbon neutrality, through the reliance on new technology, high technology, and also this renewable energy. How will that, probably leave a footprint on the global efforts against the climate change, for example?
Everybody is working to the same direction because we set up as a top priority the protection of the environment. And I think Beijing and China are doing a big effort towards that area. And therefore, we are all together ready to do the necessary because we need a cleaner environment, a cleaner, and sport can play a major role into having this cleaner environment.
That's right, the rule of the sports. The motto of the Beijing Winter Olympics is together for a shared future. Shared future. In particular, at the time of, the world is grappling with this pandemic, probably the future pandemic or climate change. So, it is very to the point in a sense, right?
You're absolutely right. And only together, which is the new motto of the International Olympic Committee, because the together is so important as a word. Only together we can face those challenges, and only together we can resolve the major issues of humanity. And I think that the pandemic gave us, and it was a reason why, by working together, we are able to resolve the issues, and we're able to move together forward. And together for a shared future is showing us the way that we should be working together to resolve those issues in the future.
Yeah, we have to work together to face the challenges of the future, of the common challenges of mankind. Speak of these Winter Games. Greece is a great country, but your people have yet to win a medal, right, at the Winter Olympic Games. That's seems to be the area your people are working at. What are you doing, like, to improve upon that, let's say?
Greece, Sheila, will have a presence also in Beijing, as we have had in every summer and winter Olympic edition. Of course, we're not a country that has developed winter sports, and it's very difficult for us because otherwise it's impossible for athletes to train in Greece and to have the similar conditions as their competitors. Unfortunately, it requires a lot of resources, because athletes can only train outside Greece, and therefore we cannot be as competitive as other. We had an athlete who was very promising, but unfortunately he got hurt just a few months before Beijing, and therefore he's going to miss the Beijing Games. But still, I think, talking about Olympic ideals, participation is also very important, and Greece will be participating.
I totally agree with you. The spirit is really about participating in the event and compete, right? And so for the friendship and the competition over there. Speak of the strength of each nation. I mean, China is not exactly good at the winter sports, let's say, similar to Greece. But there's a large population. I mean, if you look at the government plan, they are targeting at basically to increase the number of Chinese participants in winter sports to 300 million by 2025. That's an ambitious plan. What do you make of that effort?
Well, I think that the new infrastructure that you're creating, the interest of the Chinese people to sport, and also developing new sports that are less known in China will be crucial for the development of the winter sports, and maybe perhaps reaching the number of 300 million people by 2025. It's a huge number, and the industry for winter sports is growing worldwide, and I think that the Chinese market is a great market, a big market with so many people, and winter sports give a lot of pleasure to people, and therefore it can be a great entertainment for everybody. And now you'll be having additional means, the infrastructures, to be able to practice those winter sports.
Yeah. Do you mean that, by having those infrastructure, by making full use of that infrastructure, it's working like a start for the Chinese to popularize some of the winter sports, especially among the young people, probably?
Absolutely, because you already have a tradition in some of the indoor winter sports like speed skating, where I've seen some great Chinese athletes participating in previous editions of the Olympic Games. But now you'll have also the possibility to develop into other sports in other areas where they were less popular in China, perhaps because people didn't know about them. And therefore, I'm sure that the winter sports will, after the Beijing Olympic Games of 2022, all these winter sports will become much more popular. And from that, not only you'll be able to have great athletes, but also to develop the whole base of having many athletes and many young people starting and loving sport, even though this sport is not the traditional sport of the summer games, it's going to be on the snow or on the ice.
That's right. Just like this Tokyo Summer Olympics, the Beijing Games will be facing this pandemic, with this new variant, Omicron. Obviously, that's a challenge. As far as you know, how the Beijing Organizing Committee is preparing for the prevention and the control of the COVID-19?
We have received information. There are the first booklets that came out where we know that the Beijing Organizing Committee has taken all the necessary measures for the protection of the athletes, but not only the athletes, but also of the people of Beijing and of China. And therefore, I think that when hosting these games will give again to humanity a message that all together we can manage together, finding ways to win versus this pandemic. And I think, and I'm certain that all the delegations that will come to Beijing, everybody will respect the necessary measures, and they will take the necessary precautions so that the games will happen in security and safety for everybody.
I will speak of this security. The event requires athletes to be vaccinated or face a 3-week hard quarantine. I know when the rules were out, even personally, my response is like, whoa, that's a bit harsh, 3-week hard quarantine. But today, if you look at the issue of, in particular, this mandatory vaccination, for example, in some of the countries like Austria, they are going to introduce such a practice in February, and other countries are considering similar steps. So it's quite reasonable.
Well, it's, I think it's like mandatory for the athletes, the officials, the coaches, and everybody to be vaccinated and to have those 3 vaccines in place before coming to Beijing. Because you cannot expect from the athletes to go into a 21-day quarantine. Therefore, for them, it's mandatory. And I think it's important because we've learned from the scientists of this world that the vaccination is the best weapon in our fight against the pandemic and COVID. And therefore, we have not just our athletes, but everybody who intends to come to Beijing, we've told them clearly they should get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Well, that's right. The year 2020, I believe, a lot of events, a lot of activities were cancelled, were removed from the calendar because of the pandemic. But then gradually, we become more resilient, I would say. We resume those activities, resume those events. But of course, sometimes it's being disrupted by the pandemic, by the outbreak. But still, I think we are getting used to that kind of challenge. Speak of that, how your organization, your committee is preparing your athletes to participate in the Beijing Games?
The pandemic hurt everybody. Some people got hurt more, some people got hurt less, but everybody, when you have the sport facilities closing down, when the athletes have to change their way of training, it's something that's very difficult for everybody. However, as we saw, both for the Summer Games and now we see for the Winter Games, athletes have shown creativity. They try to practice in different ways. We in Greece, we tried to open some of the sport facilities just for the elite sports, so that only the best athletes could use those facilities and continue training. Of course, they missed some of the important competitions that would be great for them, to help them to prepare better for the games, to qualify for the games. But that's a reality everybody has to face. And number one priority for all of us is to be safe and secure.
Mm-hmm. Well, for a city like Beijing, to make history by having this summer as well as the Winter Olympics, so that's a great honor, for citizens living in this country, in this city. But at the same time, we do see there's a winning interest in hosting such a big event? Some say that's costly, others say, like how to use of these facilities would be a challenge, etc. Is that the case? And what we are doing to increase, probably, to create more passion for Olympic Games?
First of all, I would like to say that organizing the Olympic Games, because we have organized them in Athens, you have organized them in Beijing, is a great honor for a city and a country. And the positive that one gets from organizing the Olympic Games outweigh the negatives by a big number. Of course, people talk about excessive costs for organizing Olympic Games, but there are many issues and many areas where one takes advantage of the Olympic Games, and when he's an organizer. And everybody talks about reduced results, reduced interest for people to go to organize Olympic Games, but this is not what I see. I see that the Olympic Games, the Summer Olympic Games, have been awarded up to 2032. Already 11 years in advance, we have the organizer for the 2032 Games. I know that many people who wanted to organize the 2032 were not happy from the selection of the Australia. And of course, they are ready now to come back and bid for 2036. It means that there is a lot of interest still to organize Olympic Games.
Yeah,
and with the new rules that IOC has taken in order to reduce the costs for bidding for the Games, to reduce the costs when you become an organizer, and to use existing facilities, using temporary facilities, all this is bringing the cost down. And operational wise, we've seen and the experience has shown that the Games can be beneficial and positive in their financial result. But what we're heading to is Games that will not be very costly, Games that will be friendly for the environment, and Games that will be a unique experience for the athletes.
Yes, think about this name recognition of your city, and you are receiving athletes from countries around the world. This is a great promotional activity for the city, and of course investment in infrastructure, etc., as will bring long-term benefits for the citizens, for the residents over there. And yeah, there are some challenges. Probably that's more technical issue. Besides, events like this will bring athletes, young people from different countries, and then they compete. They will meet each other. They will forge this friendship. Of course, there will be Greek athletes, Chinese athletes, but beyond that, Greece and China, they have launched actually their official year of culture and tourism in September, with a series of events throughout this year and the next in both countries. So tell us, why they enjoy the wonderful relationship, in China and Greece, but they are doing this, to further bring the two peoples together. What's the significance of doing that?
I think, and thank you very much for the question, because Greece and China have a long history. Two countries, different countries. One is big, the other is smaller, but both countries have offered a lot in the civilization, in the culture of the whole humanity. And therefore, all these programs that our governments are working together, improving the relationship between the people and understanding better the traditions, the culture that the two countries, all these things aim to the same direction. I think we need better cooperation. There is already a business cooperation between China and Greece, but now we're improving into tourism, we're improving into other areas, into technology sharing, and to bringing younger people together. And in sport, we can do more because we can take advantage of each other. We can have our athletes train to each other. We can have coaches helping each other in areas where we think that one country can help the other. And I think this is very important and for the future to make and strengthen more the relationship between our people.
Yeah, can you be a little bit more specific in terms of this sports area for the two countries, for the athletes from the two countries to join hands, probably to learn from each other, to help each other?
Yes, absolutely. We can organize, for example, in Greece, because we have good weather, training camps with your top athletes and use the existing facilities that we had for the Olympic Games of 2004 and train with our athletes. To have some of your coaches and some of your athletes where you know China is #1 leader. Therefore, we can also take advantage of your know-how. We are strong in gymnastics. China is also strong in gymnastics. Therefore, it's going to be a challenging for the athletes to train together. On the other hand, we cannot say that we're so strong in table tennis. You are the leaders of the world, but we can learn from you, and you can help us develop further this sport, this so lovely sport that I don't think you have a big risk of us stealing the medals from your athletes. You're all
no, we can certainly play some ping pong, absolutely. On a bit of politics, we say sports should be separated from politics, but still, the diplomatic boycott of the games. What do you think of that kind of gesture?
We always feel that sport and politics should be completely different. And therefore, especially we should not use the Olympic Games as a platform to present political ideas. And I think that we should be putting on the side issues that other people do not dare to touch, and leave the athletes to do their own job, compete in the Olympics, enjoy their being together with the athletes of so many countries, and give the best from their efforts and to enjoy the results of their own personal achievement. Because I've been an athlete myself, and I competed in 1980 and 1984 Olympic Games, the ones in Moscow, the others were in Los Angeles. And in those games, some fellow athletes, friends of mine, were not able to compete because their countries boycotted the Olympic Games. This has remained in their heart as a dark spot, because there is nothing worse to do to an athlete than to stop him from competing in Olympic Games after he has done so much effort. It's the dream of his life, and sometimes politicians, for different reasons, they decide not to let him participate. I think this is catastrophic. It shouldn't happen again, and we should never use the platform for Olympic Games for politics and for boycott games.
Right. We know this Olympic events itself is meaningful because we are seeing young people from different countries. They will meet each other and try to learn from each other, understand more about each other, different cultures. So, for a shared future, for a harmonious future, in that way, you can build that probably a better world, probably for future generation. And also, the Olympic events is already undertaking this task, I would say, for building a clean environment, pollution-free environment, and also the efforts to fight climate change. I think some people are probably burdening this game, this Olympic event with too much political missions. Politicians probably should have other channels to deal with their issues.
Well, that's exactly how we feel, because the Olympic Games and Olympism, with its ideals, try to make the world a better place to live in through sport. And that's why we say, out the politics from the Olympic Games. Let's have the athletes be the one and only performers in this whole thing. And let the athletes take all the attention of the media, because they participate in a noble competition, and then the best wins.
Well, thank you, Mr. CAPRALOS, Thank you for the time and insights on the Beijing Winter Olympics. I wish you a pleasant trip and a beautiful, beautiful competition in Beijing with your athletes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to come to Beijing, and I'm sure the games will be a big success. And what I will say something that I learned in Chinese.
Please.
Jufu Chunguo, Jufu Beijing.
Okay, best wishes for China, best wishes for Beijing. Thank you. Again, thank you, Mr. CAPRALOS. Well, with that, we come to the end of today's show. Many thanks to Mr. CAPRALOS. You can also watch us on the CGTN app or on YouTube. I'm Qinduo. Thank you for watching. See you next time.